So here's the Hedron chart. I mean, it's pretty cool that like I see we're in like we've been bull flagging over and over and over, like basically since the low. This triple bottom for me. So there was a couple of key moments that said to me that this chart wants to try to make a new all-time high and try to do something different. First of all, we got a bullish engulfing on the 8-hour here. I think that's pretty solid. That's confirming that they're trying that the people that are making this move play out, like the market is basically saying we want to create a floor here and we're going to try to create a floor here. And then I guess the aim would be we can run a Fibonacci analysis on it in a minute, but I mean, it's already done like a 20x off the low, and like most of the money that was required to get it off the ground, it wasn't that much. Like I see a $500,000 buy here, or a candle, and then a couple 100,000 candles, so like $1 million got the price up a ton. So you got to think about the economic energy that went into it to make it do like a 4 or 5x. It wasn't that much. This run up here costed way more. And the volumes here.
Wow. Yeah.
But the fact that we're actually holding a support above that, we get a few candle closes above, and we're looking pretty good for like way higher prices. If we zoom out, one thing that is hurting it is when there's sell-offs, right? And like in the short term, it's coming from Hex because people are switching Hex for Hedron, which is what's got me kind of worried about that. I can't get this thing to scroll down for some reason, but
the OA's sell wall that got broken.
Oh yeah, we can look at that here in a second. But basically, that this whole sell-off was because Hedron is making moves against it. So like, let's see here. This is a chart I brought up way back in. This is Hex versus Hedron, inverted so that it's denominated in Hedron. So this is basically saying that Hex is market dominance over Hedron is at new lows relative to everything. So like this whole move here was just Hedron finally made new lows, and that way that looks against Bitcoin and ETH is pretty crazy too. I know I'm jumping around a lot, but there's a lot of data.
Go for it. Yeah.
Here is the Hedron versus ETH chart. So it's actually at the all-time high right now. So if like there's ETH whales out there right now that are losing value in ETH, there's reason to believe that this would be actually a good decent play potentially if this thing can find support up here, because this thing will want to make like new moves against ETH. I mean, it's only like 25 italics right now for the smallest unit. So let's see here. If you run a fib extension on it, I mean, it's literally sitting on the 1.0 from the original high to the all-time low. So it's basically asking you for like a run up to here, which is basically a 230% or something in USD terms. But that's like a 5x against ETH. That's crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you're talking targets like fair value for this thing based on tokenomics. You're looking at least over like 100x. It's been said before. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying that like people don't understand what this means. This bowling path, like this original 14x set the tone, and then the fact that it's made it this far, this quick in these conditions, it looks good. I mean, you always got to be aware of a top or something, but like I said, if you get a few candle closes up here, it looks pretty good. This is against ETH. This is against Bitcoin. So I think it already broke the all-time high in Bitcoin terms. So it's now like it went from being less than a Satoshi, now it's a Satoshi. So, now if it goes to 4 Satoshis, it doubles, 8, and then these things can happen quick if, Bitcoin or ETH whales were like to see that and like want to find a way to get more Bitcoin or ETH. So it's became a trade for them now, right? And we had another interesting thing happen on the US dollar today. So basically when the US dollar goes up in value, like anything that's riskier than a dollar goes down. That's just kind of like the rule of thumb. But like this morning, this ripped down and like broke this lower trend line of this bull flag. This is the dollar, meaning that crypto spiked up, and then it was a total reversal. This turned into a green candle, and it popped up over these resistances, and crypto dumped. If you look at Bitcoin, look, this is its reaction to that move. it spilled right out of this bear flag. And you get a similar action on ETH here too, where it was holding really well, and then now it's spilling against and off its bear flag. And there are other. You gotta look at the ETH Bitcoin chart. This is crazy because so this is the valuation of how many Ethereums goes into one Bitcoin. Well, it used to be, I think the all-time high basically averages out to be around like a 0.08, which means that 12 Ethereum, or was it 11 or 12 Ethereum equals one Bitcoin. But here's your 10 your 0.1 level right here, which is basically like saying that 10 Ethereum equals one Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has kept it under that level since forever, basically since 17, and never let it go above. But Ether keeps fighting and trying to decouple from Bitcoin and make new highs against it. And so there's a lot of things in the charts right now that's telling me that we're at the cusp of an interesting time where we're moving into a utility based, strong tokenomics based future for crypto, and away from good narrative. Like narratives might not drive as much until like we really start to peak in the next bull run. I think those narrative type moves are really just what brings in regular retail investors toward the end. So yeah, I mean, in answer to that question about meme coins, yeah, that's probably not the best play. I just don't see that working to the fullest extent until you start to get a true bull run.
Okay, so you think meme coins, general, just they're hard to do in the bear market, like they're just
Yeah. I mean, I
Can
think
you
we
say
look at
if
the
you start one in a bear
PulseDogeCoin
market?
chart. Here's a meme coin for you, PulseDogeCoin.
Okay.
I mean, it's scary now because like what are the I don't want to say good or bad. I just don't think that meme coins are captivating. Like I think that it's basically in a position where people have to actually go out and earn dollars. Like, are they going to want to put it in that or a savings account like a Hex? It just doesn't make sense. It's pretty simple because our mind's been so distorted to think that everything's going to pump like that. I mean, this thing could go to $100 one day, sure, but it's like the same thing as XRP. You know, when's XRP going to moon? I don't know. It could do a $10 candle in one day, but in the meantime, I'd rather be earning multiple Bitcoins worth of interest in Hex. Something that's like really for sure, right?
But do you think that people are looking at logically, or do you think they're looking for that pump and then
I don't
that
think
10x and get out?
people. Well, it depends on what group of people. So smart money is looking for to buy something good on a dip, and the majority is looking to chase a pump. Nothing says that more than the Hedron chart right now. On the weekly, look at this thing. I mean, it's like more money came in when it was already up like 15x than it did prior to that for months. So yeah, people want to put their money in on opportunity for sure. But it's where opportunity and good decision making meets is where you can make life changing opportunity. And you need to know how to identify that. And in order to find that out, you got to listen to cool streams or like keep up with your good sources of information. So if you like, look, there's a good source of information. Like if you start looking at the liquidity pools on Uniswap, and you understand what they mean. You can kind of like make better trades, you know, because this is Hedron here. Let's pull up the Hedron Hex chart. Everyone's liquidity chart. Everyone's seen this thing, right? This is the infamous OA wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what this means is when price is on this side, it's down. Hedron's down in price. When price on this side, Hedron's up in price. So if you're on this side of the chart, and let's say the price was back where it was like a week ago, all this liquidity here means that a whale can accumulate a bunch or a dumper can dump a bunch. So it's a two-sided equation. So like once price gets above it and starts being supported above it, like this, it bouncing up like this, like it's doing right now, it's being supported by whales that can buy just enough here that pushes it right back out of the wall, right? And that'll happen over and over and over again until this thing starts to have momentum and the price accelerates because there's just no liquidity out here. So it will cause other liquidity providers to create liquidity in a new trading range at a new price much higher where the price settles after this expansion, right? And then essentially, I'm sure this OA wall will get moved, and we can move our money back into Hex after Hedron has ran hard, right?
That's what I was going to ask too. On the wall, do you think it'll be moved? Do you think that will we run into it again sometime? Are we only going to run into it if Hedron dumps really hard again, or what do you think?
So yeah, if Hedron, which it has, it's dumped it's done like 20% dumps here in the last like few days over and over. Well, what happens is it doesn't take a lot of Hedron in dollar terms to push it back, right? Because like if we go back to the USDC, so this is USDC paired with it. So now each one of these little blocks is like 30 grand. So 30, 60, 90, you can like make the price move quickly because if you put in like 500 grand, you can literally clear a wall with that much money. Not saying that that's what people are doing, but they have in the last few weeks, and it pushes it through the wall. So once you get out here, I forgot like where we were going with this part, but trying to answer it, but I guess like if you get out, so in this chart, Hedron goes up in price if it moves this way against Hex or against USDC, right? So we were out here already, and then we got slipped right back in here because it took way less economic energy to push the price down, and now it's going to take way more to push it down. So like if everybody got liquidated already on the run up, no one has enough coins to push through all this liquidity. But if there's a bunch out there that can be minted and dumped, then yeah, this could fall through here. But we've already went through that phase where we came up here, we fought it, we got pushed back down. We came up here, we fought it, we got pushed back down. And then same with and it's happening on this pair and on the Hex Hedron pair at the same time. So keeping an eye on both pools and then seeing on what side we're on for how much time, time and price on the chart here, is the more time you can sustain above here, there's no liquidity out here. Eventually, it's just going to start going and accelerating.
Okay. Is that good? So if Hedron doing 100x, is that good or bad for Hex, or how does it affect Hex?
That it's great because then that money will flow back into Hex long term. It short term it diffuse. You don't want to see people take too much economic energy out of Hex and not put it back into Hex, right? So like this thing will have a blow off top, and then everything will come back into Hex. Is the way I anticipate it.
Do you think a big run up into Hedron could, negatively affect Hex short term, but of course long term we know Hedron
no, because if it starts moving fast enough, it's gonna pull Hex up with it. That's the thing. But we have to get them working together. Right now, they're like in this very moment, they're not working together. They were though. This whole part here, they were. Where like one would pump, the other would pump right behind it. And then something happened in the last few days, with the global that's starting to drag Hex down. Hopefully, Hedron's strong enough to drag it back up. I think it might be if you can pull in enough Bitcoin or ETH whales, and there's incentive to hold. If you remember back what the Hex chart did back in the early days, it did a similar pattern on a shorter time frame. Let's see. Basically bowled out the same way. Basically, like we're like in the middle of this structure here, but on a way bigger time frame. Right, and the percentage is a lot different too, because Hedron's already ran like 20 times or something like that off the all-time low, and this is only like 700%. So, but I mean, you can expect a similar price action, I think, on it over the long term. I just can't give you a definite time frame. It seems like it's gonna have to build support here for a few days, and we might get an answer.
Gotcha.
Right now, we're in a good position on the liquidity walls. So.
You want to take a look at Icosa?
Sure. I think it's only isn't it really good to look at this against Hex, because you can see it like a flat line.
Hex. Yeah.
Let's see here.
Pretty much the only good pair, for that. Yeah. For charting.
Yeah. Well. I mean, isn't it just like it's a battle over a very tight range? Let's see. Oh, here it is.
Yeah. A quick question now on Hedron. Isn't Vibra sure from the market realizing its value is tied with B share rate at BSI auctions?
Yeah, I mean, there's like that. So yeah, I forgot about the fundamentals of it. The reason why that's the driving thing on on Hedron is the auctions that are going to be happening like 78, 77 days or something like that.
So why is that important?
Because people are locking up these stakes for like 15 years and then they're sacrificing them basically to the auction house just to take an arb position on this chart here. And then they can basically like make small, like what is it? What's this range here? I don't know. It's like a 3% range or 5% range. The people are making. Have you done this yet? Where you've tokenized an NFT or made a stake into an NFT, tokenized it, and then put it into contract?
Detokenized it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know what the percent gains on that type of a play is right now, or if it's. Are you waiting on price appreciation from Icosa, or like that's kind of what my question for you because I actually haven't actually done that yet. I did get into
Yeah.
the WhatsApp pool.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't have a lot of them. I kind of did it to play around and see like, okay, this is how it works. This is how I can tokenize it. I think the WhatsApp pool is much more attractive just because you're earning you can eventually burn that and turn it into Icosa, and depending on where we are in that, if it's 6 months to a year or so, the returns could be really really good. But as far as the HSI stakes themselves, I mean, even in the beginning, it was like, who's going to let these things go to auction and then why? And now we can see that the auctions are becoming super, super popular. In the beginning, I was like, who's doing these auctions? Like who's just letting it go by? Who's borrowing against it because the price was so low too? It didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, at least at the time.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, I guess if you have HSIs now,
So like
you have Icosa.
yeah,
So.
you just made me think like the Hedron price is basically front running all that fundamental action. It's proving that people are trying to accumulate these things and then that those things are going to get burned to reacquire stakes, X stakes, the ultimate value prop. So like, and then when those hedrons are getting burned, like that's going to be at a point when this whole fundamental run up has already happened, basically. So the people who want to buy these stakes have priced everybody else out, and they can afford the most of them, and they can get way more T-shares. This is called the great redistribution of T-shares, so to speak. So it's actually a key event in Hex history, and I'm not saying that you could totally be out of the Hex or Hedron Icosa ecosystem 100% and still be perfectly fine just in Hex. But this just gives people that are in Hex already something else to play with.
So what is the great redistribution of
Just
T-shares?
like how basically the auctioning off of T-shares and then and as this so it's creating like a positive feedback loop. I heard that today. I think on Cabana Crypto's channel.
Yeah.
As Hedron price goes up, it makes it more scarce as they get burned into the pool to get the hex stakes back. So it's just like as long as that keeps moving in that direction, which is it's timed because at the end of the 90 days since the start of Icosa, that's like when a lot of these things are going to come up, right? So everyone's trying to get first movers advantage on those stakes at a cheaper price in Hedron terms. And because of that, more will get burnt, more will get hoarded, and it's just going to create huge price up on this chart.
So you think huge price up until the auctions start? Is that like the
No,
event that everyone's
I mean
waiting
I don't
for?
want to say all that because there's game theory there and like things like I can have my opinion on it, and if I say it, I'm not going to say what day it's going to happen on because that would be too much, but I think I know what people want to do, but yeah, you only know so much, right? Well, it won't
Yeah,
matter what I say in the end. What behaviors are enacted.
gotcha. Okay, yeah. Icosa. We'll talk about that. Icosa
Uh,
Hex.
oh yeah. I mean, I look at this thing. To me, it looks like a stable coin. I don't really know
It's
enough
such a
about it, dude. I look at it. I know that it's trying to be algorithmically tied to, like its inflation rate's tied to X directly, so that they're always gonna move in lockstep. Because if the option to liquidate or to get Icosa becomes more profitable than holding a X stake, then you take that shot, right? Is that the kind of the theory?
yeah. It's supposed to move. I was talking to Alex the other day. It's supposed to move up, yeah, in lockstep with Hex. But the thing with Icosa too is you can. Well, I guess that's the thing. The staking yield. You know, the differences between that and staking Hex you may pick one or the other versus that. I guess bigger the better, and all that plays into it too. But and do you know much about Maxi?
Yeah, I know of it. I know kind of the mechanics behind it.
So from what you know about Maxi, how different do you see, and what you know about Icosa, how different can you compare them and say, okay, if Maxi is in a similar is Maxi in a similar situation, we could say here as Icosa?
I think there's more variables, right? But I think that the Maxi is so simplified. Like I like that model. Like as far as like way to get to award the user in the best possible way. Because I think that I just look at the change in price action so far. Like, is it outperforming Hex in any meaningful way? I mean, it's not going to show on the chart, right? Because they're just going to both pump in lockstep. But to me, it just seems like Maxi could create a premium, and I don't know if this can create a premium, right? So I think that's all fundamentally what's different about them. But the premium will come from your Hedron appreciation on this. So where you're getting rewarded is different.
Yeah, so you're staking Icosa to earn
Like what
Icosa
you'd
and
want to
Hedron.
see is you'd want to see Icosa make big moves against Hex from time to time to give arbors an opportunity to take profit they would otherwise not get, right? So I don't know. Let's see. Hold on. Where's Hex at? Here we go. From the low, turn my magnet on. From the low to the high. We did 50. Yeah, see, we did 50% on this chart. We did 50% on this chart. So where's like the thing? They're really small in here. These little moves where you can make percent gains. And probably provide LP. There might be an LP opportunity here too. I don't know. This is just the first time I'm kind of thinking about these things. So, because like the WhatsApp pool to me makes the most sense because it's like something you can get in so early, and then nobody can ever. It's just a game of the token or the NFT's value is going to accrue to a level where you won't need to ever liquidate the position. You should just be able to sell the NFT, right? And then hopefully buy it on a dip when Hex goes down.
Is that the primary strategy for WhatsApp? Is you just so
I think it's a long-term hold, man. That's what I think.
how long do you know? I guess that's the thing I can't quite. I tell myself 6 months to a year at least, but like if you held it for 5 years, is that going to be much more profitable than holding for 1 year or 2 years?
Right.
Is there
I
anything to
mean, you're
say that
basically
it will be?
waiting for a Hex bull market, basically. I don't know if it's going to be that much more from the Icosa perspective.
Alan
You know what I mean?
suggests 5 year minimum. Somebody will have it in 5 years. I'm not
I
sure it'll
think
be the
like
same
it's
person.
all about the how much yield. Yeah. So how much Icosa yield are you going to be getting? Yeah. It depends on how many people leave the pool, or stuff like that. And why would
Well,
they if they can just resell the NFT, right?
right. I think the first number of NFTs to be burned is when people break even because there's a lot of people that can't wait for PulseChain to launch so they can sell the PLS to get whatever back they can, whether it's good or bad, whatever. But like, there's a lot of people that cannot wait to sell PLS.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Watsa 2, it's like they cannot wait to break even because themselves now versus themselves 6 months or a year from now are two different people. And the emotions are going to be feeling when you don't practice delayed gratification as much, or maybe actually need money for something. Some people just need money, some life event too. But I think between Alan's like 5 year minimum, Eric hold it to you break even. I think somewhere in the middle is the right period of time to hold the NFTs. But I just don't know what you gain holding it for 5 or 10 years versus holding it till the next Hex bull run, for example, like you brought up.
Yeah, I think you gotta hold on to that one a while. I think that's a long-term thing. That's pretty obvious. Something that you can get in but can't get out. Hold on to that.
Yeah.
It kind of acts like the same thing as like a 10x Hedron bonus. So at the low, people thought that had no meaning. Now they're seeing the meaning. That's the same. You gotta let people realize where the value is coming from. So if everything's tied to the T-share, right, it's all gonna go up with it.
And hope you discover the right thing for yourself along the way, which is what we try to do, and that's what we're learning here too. I smell something good. Something must be cooking in there. Yeah, never sell PLS like in liquid loans. Yep, that's another way. That's one way to do it. So Icosa sort of just following can you chart chart Maxi and just so we
Yeah,
can
that was
kind of,
interesting. I had that up before. This is crazy how this thing it ripped down to 1 point. So this chart is Maxi versus X. So it has had a premium for since it launched basically. But today it wicked down from having you could get 70% more hex per max you held. You were up 70% on in a hex terms, and it whipped all the way down to only 21%. And so there was a huge ARB opportunity here. Somebody dumped a bunch, and you could have made a quick 38% in Maxi today. So
wow.
pretty wild.
Can you, so when setting limit, can you set limit orders on Uniswap?
Um, can you on you?
Or
I use a matcha.
so you cannot match it, but I think, can you do it for all coins, or there's certain coins you like? I don't think they had, what was it? Do they
Here,
have?
yeah, you can do. I do all my trades on here.
Okay.
If you wanna trade a coin that you have the name of and you know the contract address, you just go to Etherscan and you type in Icosa. 'Cause I know that's a brand new coin. I don't even know if you can find it on here yet, can you? Hedron. Whoops. So you just take this contract address. You know, this is the Hedron token here. You take the copy of the address here and you just paste it in the search bar. And it'll
Okay. So it
find,
doesn't come up, some tokens don't come up by name. That's probably what's confusing a lot of people too.
yeah, so that's good to know. If you can search by contract address, and that's basically how you can get anything you want done on something.
Okay.
Because I mean, you can literally trade anything that's on the blockchain. I'm pretty sure. You just have to have that contract address,
Yeah, it's
and
not
it'll
that
give you
matching
like a
needs to
warning.
support it. It's just that like it needs to be on the blockchain, and then they can like whatever day they're pulling data from the blockchain, so they can just match orders and stuff based on that, and their
Right.
liquidity pools.
Right.
Well, they're aggregated liquidity pools from the providers.
Hex though, man. Look at this thing. It's so powerful right now. Like people don't see it. This thing is actually. Let me show you the Hex Hedron or no Hex ETC. Key things going on here.
Let's enter the dragon, man. Let's do it.
It's above the midpoint on this falling wedge. So typically a falling wedge will break to the upside, and it's just so strong. We're actually off the low. It's up 84% against Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's falling right now, and Hex is just kind of like chilling, and it's above this midline. So that's super bullish to me. Like and on enough, it could crack back down to the low, which would still be strong as long as it didn't break the previous lows, and it would bounce back up and give it another shot. It's basically in a setup right now where it can take its time getting out of here. This has us out to April or May of next year before you basically rip hard. Um, and then on the
Well,
Hex ETH pair, you got a similar kind of vibe going, but except on this chart, ETH's dominating it in a sense, in the fact that Hex hasn't been able to break above that midline and hold it as support. So that's kind of a key thing to look at there.
why have we seen so many crazy like pumps and like within a cent or two, and there's like crazy like huge sells, huge buys. If you're following well hex, you're just like, whoa, what is going on? Like, and you see it in the chart here. Like, what do you think is causing that?
Whale accumulation and just price. They're trying to support the price here. I think they're just trying to give people an idea that Hex price is more controlled. I mean, it proved it on the way up, and then it stopped in the beginning of the bear. Um, there was a lot of fundamental stuff going on in the chart that it didn't make sense for whales to give it the same support because we were still so up against everything else. So it actually, rather than waste all the extra money in these price ranges to protect price, you might as well just buy it at a lower price, but still give it an edge over Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's basically how people are valuing things in crypto, right? So as long as you protect key levels, like this whole chunk here of price action has been protected. Um, but they didn't need to waste 2 times the money or 4 times the money up here to make it happen.
Yeah.
Just let people bring the ball to them. You think of it like everything on the chart's like a line of scrimmage. you know, and it's based it on the parallels of where the price action is moving. It has kind of some history of moving.
That is a great analogy. I want everyone to hear that. Line of scrimmage, price action.
Yeah.
It's a great football analogy.
Yeah. So
American
I mean,
football.
if you go back to like you can pretty much do this with any chart, but look how the price is holding up now versus back then. Like this kept making like new lows, whereas this is like really not really against the majors. It's really rounding out and flattening more, which is it's just a huge support. Now, like the farther it gets squeezed down into here, it's gonna have to make a decision. But it still gives you till next year, spring. So we're in a really good shape.
You think sideways until spring then?
No, I'm not saying that. I can't say that. That wouldn't make sense to me because it's kind of against my thesis of what I think it could do until the spring. But I can't say what I think because it's just too much. But there's there's opportunities for upside. Like you're basically, like I said before, it's all emotions and volatility squeezes. But you can count on that right now that you're getting clear signs that this thing's trying to bottom. Like look at the RSI. I prefer it on the Hex US dollar chart. Very obvious to me that it's just getting squeezed in like a little triangle. We're just like squeezing up against it here. And I mean, it's ready to, when this stuff happens, it's just bullish.
Wow. That is something to look at, especially looking at the mountains of Hex history.
Like, look, the option is like every time that we see these big, this was a good test the other day. I felt like when we dumped from 7 down to like we dropped 50% and then stopped in our tracks and reversed. Somebody's trying to tell you something. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody doesn't necessarily think that there should be lower prices. That's what that's implying. And the rest of the sell pressure on this particular candle now is actually probably has a lot to do with Hedron, putting pressure on Hex to perform better because that some of those Hex are getting put into Hedron. So you kind of got to watch them against each other. Icosa doesn't this rounded bottom look bullish on Icosa here?
Mm-hmm.
Looks bullish to me. I don't know. This just seems supported well. There's a lot of like it seems to me like it's decorrelating in this when you look at the other the valuations against Bitcoin here. Like we're in a strong uptrend. ETH, you're still in a triangle here. It's getting squeezed. Something's gonna happen. Like obviously you could see it on the RSI, and there's less volatility now. I don't know. And you got to always think too, what could spring this is fundamental news. Like we already have the Hedron fundamentals working. Well, what happens if you got something out of Richard? It could come at any time. So it's just good to keep liquid coins on you, right? Keep liquid coins on you.
You got a note from Silver now. Can you see that on the chart if they're selling?
This 206 minute EES is selling now. Okay. Well, he said that he was. I read earlier this morning that he was dumping like $1 million on a pop. So I mean, it makes sense. Like this guy just wants to kind of exit. That's what it's saying. That's what it felt like to me.
Well, is there even enough liquidity on the pairs to fulfill an order like that, or would that just kill one pulse?
He would get massive slippage. Vault the liquidity. Yeah, it's definitely so. The markets are flipped to sell for sure. Like everything. I can only say what that Hedron was the exception this morning. So how much was it? Like 10 million? Yeah, I mean, it's saying like sub penny, but I think with slippage and everything, you'd probably get like 1.9 or like maybe with hitting limit orders on the way down, it'd be closer to like 2.4 or something, like on a wick, if he were to market dump that much. But if he's gonna do it in chunks, you're not gonna get that down that far. It's got to be strategically done, and it doesn't seem like this guy thinks really that much. He's making these decisions. It's like selling like in those. I don't have the actual address, otherwise I could pull it up on Etherscan. But he says that he has 100 another. Silver says that this guy has another 150 million ending in December. Yeah, so maybe he just wants to slow sell. He'd be wise to make an LP position and sell by making an LP position and basically giving up his hex for dollars slightly higher
I want to
and
ask you
also
about that
earning fees.
too.
Yeah.
How can, so is that, you know, how does that work as far as how can you sell without market sale, limit sale, things like that? How can you sell and still get liquidity for another coin? Like, is that
Yeah, so
through
if you
just
have
getting a coin?
when people think sell, they're probably thinking, how do I get dollars for whatever? Well, only let me pull up Silver's tweet here. Second, Silver. What did Silver say? Oh,
The pulp
8 minutes
tweet.
ago. This might be it. Yeah. He's taking his. So here you go. Here's some of the sells. So liquidity. Let's say I have like, let's say I'm this guy and I have 200 million hex in my wallet. I would go to Uniswap. Um, I would show it like live, but it's probably better off done on like a YouTube video where you can sit down and learn it.
No.
But like basically he could take a portion of that and put it on the liquidity pool at a certain price range. So if he wants to sell between 4 and 5 cents, you just put liquidity in that price range. And then as the price moves up, his his crypto turns into USDC basically. And then when he goes to exit the pool, he pulls out more USDCs than he put in and takes out less hex than he put in. So it's like putting your money in a in a bucket and then letting the market move around and slosh two types of water around in there, and then you get more of the one solution than the other. So as the price moves up, you're trading your, let's say your hex for USDC. If it moves down, you're actually going to end up accumulating more hex. So
it's kind of like setting a low sell wall to just get extra liquidity in another coin.
correct.
And that's a way you would do that if you didn't want to. Well, first of all, if you have a whole bunch of a coin and there's not as much liquidity and you don't want to kill the price, that's how you can sort of sell. Instead of doing a market sale, you can or a limit sale, you can just be like, okay, I'm just going to provide liquidity, get another coin, and that's how I exit.
Yeah, and so if like I just a lot of these people, I think it's going to be hard. This is what I mean by like when a bear market comes, it's like the decay part of the cycle, and you just have to let certain actors flush out because they're not going to go through the effort to do this. Because they'd have to keep an eye a little bit more on the price and know the direction. Otherwise, they wouldn't put their LP in the right place. You know, they wouldn't know where to put the LP on the chart because you actually have to be able to kind of tell direction. It's just it asks a lot of extra behaviors from big users. So just let the market take care of itself. As far as like, let's let the bear market weed these guys out slowly, and this gives new players like an option to buy cheaper. I'm just gonna and those of us that bought higher, you better be buying with them or be patient. We're too far into a bear market now. You know, you can't. I wouldn't make any rash decisions.
Is there a way to detect people doing, like, how close? We can see the big buys and big sells and stuff like that. But is there an easy way to detect when someone is exiting slowly like that? Is it just looking at who's putting up the LP, or how do we even see that that's happening?
Go follow Silver the Antidote. He'll tell you.
Follow people who know. Yeah.
I mean, that's like the easiest way. He's got, so not him. There's people that have been, so if you wanted to do this on your own, what you need to do is you need to go to Etherscan and you need to go to the Hex contract. And then you need to go to like the holders and you need to formulate like a, either get your data from here or get your data from another data set and basically go through and look at every single address in like the top 2,000 stakers or top 4,000 stakers. Just start from the top down and then just try to, the easiest way is to find current data is just to go into the trades, right? And then I think this is where it posts most of the Uniswap trades in here. And then you'd find like a big dumper, or you could go to like Deck Screener, find a big dumper, click on his transaction, and then dig in like a little more on a certain player, and then just start creating a spreadsheet of the certain players that you see have bad habits or good habits, and then just watch them splash in the water for a while, and then you'll get a good idea of where the market's moving. Here's a $1 million or 1 million hex sell that happened 3 minutes ago. If I want to know more about that guy, click on the transaction hash. I think this is his address here. Then you click on your C20s out. Yeah, you can see that this guy sent out 1.3 million hacks. So like this is how you'd go and you'd start to create a spreadsheet. You'd copy their address, follow their actions. This is something that Silver does full time right now. So he's got a huge database. He can follow actors around and kind of see, trends in the chart plus trends in the behavior of the user. You want to do that, I mean, it's like a full-time job, and it can be probably pretty profitable if you get good at it.
Well, how would you know? So that's for buys and sells, but how would you know if someone is exiting with liquidity?
Oh, you got to go to Uniswap and look at the LPs or something. Probably tell me, huh?
Yeah, Silver, tell us. It seems like there should be some tools for this. Like this would be like a great opportunity.
Like I think there's like a bot that like an LP bot that tells you when Hex LP has been added or removed. I mean, you can obviously go to the liquidity pool here and see adds and removes and try to like cross-reference them, or if you see like the liquidity change, you can probably track who's doing the liquidity change down here where it says, adds and removes, right? And so then you can cross-corroborate evidence you find in the liquidity with, like this Hedron USDC wall just got chunked down. Somebody's taking USDC out of the liquidity pool for Hedron, which is going to make the price easier to push up. So yeah, I might not be able to, without going in and doing a detailed analysis, tell you who's doing it, but I can watch the behavior. And because like earlier, this wall was bigger, and then I just refreshed, and now half this wall's gone. Like, well, where'd the wall go? Well, somebody wants to make the price move easier in this area, or is foreseeing volatility, perhaps. Or you're never going to know the exact reasons why people make certain decisions. But if you get enough certain indicators over like days of time, then you're going to be able to cross corroborate evidence about what the goal is. It's like a game of football where there's momentum, and so if the momentum is to the upside, look at the Hedron chart, and you see that the momentum's to the upside right now, like hard. Like it's still fighting higher on this new candle here on the daily. Like it's clean, man. It's holding support. It's clean. It's fresh. And then you go back and you look at the pool here, and liquidity got pulled from here, so now it can even come down a little bit, and it can still be pushed up easier than it was when it was way up here. Now this is only like 45 grand. Looks here that it was added. Actually, I'm wrong. So what happened was these didn't get pushed down. These were 30,000 before. Somebody added 15 grand of liquidity onto each one of these slots, which is just more support right now. So it's going to act as like a buffer. So you're going to have more, even more Hedron now to push it this way. to push the price down than before. And the whole thesis behind this run up on Hedron was that we created a floor here where everyone else had already dumped most of their coins. So there's no real going below these levels because everybody that got axed through here sold all their coins that was really negative actors. Because this was such a like a flush and nasty move up that now no one has any other option but to buy now, because with now you also have 70 days of fundamentals dragging this up due to scarcity and Hedron auctions. So it's a perfect storm for the ecosystem. It's just like there's no other better way to say it. Right now, this is a unique point where Hedron holders can take back T-shares that they otherwise wouldn't have had an opportunity to. Imagine buying 30 billion Hedron down here for a few $1,000, and then up here, like you've already 20x the bag, and now you can buy 20 times more T-shares now than you would have been able to then. And then as this price continues to rise, it's just more opportunity for those early believers in Hedron to acquire more T-shares from those who wanted to hurt people early on by dumping the price. So it's like a counter move. It's a definite counter trend play. It's something that, and it's also going up against Big Daddy Bitcoin and all-time high against Bitcoin, all-time high against Ethereum. Next level is like a 4x away or something. Look here. It's crazy. I mean, major level. Oh, here was a cool thing that Sloth put up earlier was I know I'm moving my chart around a lot. Sorry, guys.
All right.
He basically said at this level here, see this line up here at 0.0000, it's 4 zeros and a 6. That's where if you stake $1,000 for 15 years of Hex, you can borrow $1,000 of Hedron. That's like quote unquote parity for $1,000 15-year stake with $1,000 of Hedron. So you can borrow $1,000 of Hedron off of a $1,000 stake. That's like that level. So this is basically where the system has to recalibrate to at least tap it, and then it can totally retrace. It's fine, but it's trying to recalibrate to these levels where Hedron's real market value is relative to B shares.
Yep, it's yet to find that. Silver had a comment too on the just looking at seeing people sell through liquidity. You just scan next to ERC20, it's on the tab NFT. You can take the code and input to Uniswap to look at the pools. Looks like that's what he's saying. You can take the NFT number and change the number.
Next to ERC20, another tab. Oh yeah, that's right. So once you get the guy's address, there's another. Let's see here. My Etherscan tab go. Did I delete it? Here, maybe if let me pick a transaction off Dex Screener to show you what that's like.
Okay.
I'll just well, no, you'd have to go to the LP pool. So you go to LP pool, pick a guy. This guy's the one that added 95 grand. Ooh, so this guy, okay, so here's cool. This is cool. So somebody added $95,000 as buffer support to the downside, and he's holding that 900 billion Hedron. Maybe he probably wants $1 trillion, right?
Yeah.
But he put LP in. Where was that at? ERC 720, right? Isn't that it? UNFT.
Mm-hmm.
This is his LP position. Now I forget why we were in here though, because I've kind of been half-assed looking at the chat. Sorry guys, I've been so deep in thought, trying to just give it my best.
It's just trying to detect people, exiting through LP versus instead of just looking at the market sales. Like, how can we determine?
Probably because you would see. Let's see here. How do you tell from this NFT where he placed the liquidity? That's my question. Is it this little thing? I don't know. I'm gonna need to do a stream with Silver to get the deep dive on that.
Yeah.
Because this is all new to me, and I'm pretty quick with shit, but I would like to know exactly what everything means, like the right way the first time. But this is as far as my knowledge really goes on LP.
No worries, man.
Yeah. Something that I think, like, again with the PulseChain and PulseX, how the LP set up on there on the testnet is so much easier to just the interface is so sweet and it's so easy to just like get your LP tokens and then you're earning. I've messed around with it a little bit. It's pretty exciting to me. It's easy over here too. Don't get me wrong. From a placing LP, but chasing people around and trying to figure out. I mean, to me, all I need to know is that this guy that added 97,000 USDC put it here, and we're in an uptrend. And that guy has 900 bill, and he probably wants more, and he probably wants to create a floor. That's just but I'm also making some assumptions, right? By his positioning of this and his timing of when he positioned his new liquidity here, and where the price is at and where it's going. So it's moving higher right now, and so it's just as a buffer for him now. It's like, who's going to have enough to get it down there, and then him not be able to pump it back up with his resources. If you dig in, I bet he's got multiple addresses with, loot on him. So. Yeah, I mean that's a big.
It's looking beautiful, man. I know you were talking about before the stream the crazy stuff going on with Hedron. It's like, wow.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull up. Just I don't know how much more charts you guys want to see. It's been a lot, but
I just have one more on the list. Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, sure. Which one were you thinking?
Oh, actually, real quick, David had a question: how to find when he entered the LP.
If you go to like uniswap.info, and then you type in like Hedron. Like I'm already on the page right now, but this is how you do it. You type Hedron, and then you have to pick your pool. So I always sort them by which one has the most money in it. That's what time value locked means. And then you just click. These two have both $4 million in them. I gotta click on one of them, and then you can see they're just. If you click ads, this guy it sorts them by time. So 19 minutes ago, this guy added 97 grand. If you want to dig deeper than that, you have to click into his account and see if he does anything else. Then removes is the opposite. You're taking USD or taking a token off the table. And then here's swaps where people are trading. And this is just all. So that's where you go to dig in on LP. I think if everybody knows how to LP better, that should be the goal. So I agree with you there, Max. I think that's a good thing that people know how to do that so they can, decide how they want to support or hurt price. Yes, in a better way. Because it worked in reverse when Hex broke off down past 10 cents. Somebody pulled a bunch of liquidity here. You're actually right here around 10 cents. Pulled it off of it, making it easier to push price, and then decided to push price down. So it made it way quicker of a sell off. Whereas if that tons of Hex were still in the LP pools, it took multiples more economic energy to get price down here. And you can see that in the before I forget, that's pretty cool. You can look at Hex on the LPs too, obviously. I've been spending a lot of time on Hedron. But you can see the TVL. There's more money coming into the Hex pools right now. Even though the price is down, we have more liquidity than we had a while ago at the low. So look at what happens. I think this was last year when we had our bull run. Not saying we're gonna have a bull run right now, but just saying liquidity's changing, so something's changing in the market.
And one more question from David here: is there something maybe TradingView that alerts when you're outside the range on LPs?
You can set alerts on TradingView for price ranges. Yes, so you're gonna know where your ranges are set because you set them, and then you can set alerts on here. I'm pretty sure. Add alert somehow. Yeah, so I'll get an alert, and you can send it through email or whatever, and if the price goes above this inflection point, it'll send me an alert. Now this little orange line, for example. So I mean, you're just gonna have to use it as a separate tool, and you have to know your ranges.
So we said Hex Hedron is now in the lower buffer zone, 5 million support.
Yeah, it's looking good on the chart anyway.
Want to look at one more? You want to look at weight, WAIT.
Yeah. I don't really like that one. But we'll
The
look at it.
objective.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. Tell us how you feel.
I mean, I don't really know anything about it. I just didn't. There was no opportunity on it before, but what's happening now on it is it's actually trending up, trending slowly up to the side. I think it's
Full,
up like
full,
14% in a week.
full transparency. I like the dev team, and so weight is probably not their most impressive product or coin, but I've talked to the dev team, and I really they seem super smart, and I was just from time to
I mean,
time I
it's
follow the
making
weight
gains
chart.
against
So
making gains right now. So I mean, I watched the chart. Yeah, yeah. I think it just was. It's awesome. The concept. I like the concept of it. As far as like we're all waiting for PulseChain, so let's play a game of chicken again. It's kind of got reverse mechanics of the Watsa NFT. Right. Which pair do you like on this? The USDC pair?
I've been looking at USDC. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, this one. So you see how it's trending? It's in an uptrend. It's volatile and it's in an uptrend. So there's probably opportunity in this one right now.
is that low liquidity, right?
Yeah. Got no liquidity in it.
Yeah.
So and it's got a sub-million market cap. It's kind of like one of those ones that you can throw like $100 in it and then watch that do a 20x. One of those things.
100. About 100. Maybe like I mean I don't know what amount, but $100. I don't think it'd move it too much. I don't imagine.
You don't think it could do a 20x?
On $100,
No, I mean like
maybe
if you bought
like a hundred
$100, I
thousand
mean it doesn't
dollars.
matter how much. Oh no. Yeah, that's not saying that that order would send the price. Obviously not. I meant I'm saying like if you're just an investor and you wanted to buy some, like a little bit of money can go a long way on something like this.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
That's what I'm saying. Basically.
Definitely. I mean, it's one of those low caps,
Yeah,
And if you
like
don't
you're
know
getting
anything
in.
about it, yeah, it's been interesting to see the charts, see the accumulation, see the still low liquidity. But that was just one I thought would be interesting to bring because
I
not a lot of
wonder if
people
we can
talk about it.
find like liquidity for this here. Oh, dude, why is this chart not showing anything?
Hmm.
Can't see anything on here. Oh, maybe
Is it all under? This should be USD weight
here we
and
go.
hex weight.
USDC weight. So yeah, it is. So nobody's like rugging the liquidity. See this? It's like steady accumulate. It's like and it's just small buys that's adding. So that's really healthy overall. That looks good to me. Just a steady accumulation of more money into a pool. It's like 30 grand right now. It's in a big wall. So right now that wall might act as resistance. And then once you get on the other side of it and hold above it, maybe it can get some legs. I don't know. I don't know how many times it's came up and tested this wall either. Something good to know.
Mm.
Let's look at the chart. Looks like it's been trapped here for a while, which means it could just break through that wall. It's tried before, it seems, here, right?
Yep.
Yeah, 10%.
Was it just so? What made it fail? Can you see? Can you see or speculate?
Well, I mean, it just could have, here was this was like your expansion or like crazy, like a liquidity candle where somebody injected liquidity into the asset. And then this was like a natural move up that looked good. So there's your top, then here's your double top, and then it just wicked so hard it's getting held down by the resistance here on this top. You just got to break it. I mean, it did it once. Look, it broke. There's no reason for anybody to come in and ape into this, right? So it's longer, slower accumulation is actually better for this one right now. You need to build up that pool and create like a base. This is why I said I don't like things like random things because it's so hard to build a consistent base that's going to be here. Like that's not just strictly speculating, but the whole point of this particular one is that it's a speculation coin when PulseChain's going to come out. I mean, yeah, dude, imagine this thing just fucking bottoms and just rips. Like somebody starts putting in like 5 grand every few hours. Then they start now a handful of people are putting in like 7 grand every few hours. It could get out of hand for
So
sure.
is that how it works too? Let's say someone was putting in a few $1,000s at a time over a steady time period. Does that, and it's not coordinated. I'm not talking about like a coordinated pump and dump or anything, but you
Mm.
see that happening. Other people see it happening. Is that how the psychology plays into it? They just like, oh wow, and it keeps, and then it just keeps going through that, or how would that even play out
Talking
though?
about like trying to get into the mind of a buyer
Well,
about when
just
people.
I guess how does the psychology play into having one of those huge run ups like that?
So like Hedron's not a good example because this I don't think this has a fundamental. It needs a fundamental driver. This is right now. It's just pure speculation. So if you have a fundamental driver like auctions in so many days or burning of tokens, does this thing do anything like that tokenomics wise that can drive price higher on its own without speculators entering?
I think it's just got a free claim and a speculation period to when PulseChain is going to launch. The
Yeah.
two major pieces.
So this one's going to be based on pure hype. So this is like this long drawn out thing. Imagine this thing just chills and just slowly does like 15% every like 2 or 3 weeks. And then one day you're just going to get that candle, man. And then just like it did here. And then maybe that happens a few times. And then maybe Richard's like, Pulse Chain coming out this day. Then you're going to get your fundamental. And then it can do crazy things, sure.
Well, the thing is, you can claim it up until launch. So for this
If you
particular,
get a warning, then it's going to force people to make a move up or down.
but wouldn't it, them claiming it more? Would that be? Wouldn't I mean they would
Negative on
sell it more?
price, possible.
Yeah,
Possible.
yeah,
Yeah. Good idea. Good point.
yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be a matter of who has the information first, I think.
Yeah, wait, dev team, 0x Coast. Give the people some reasons to hold weight if you want more
So I just
holders of
haven't
weight.
minted mine yet. I waited. I'm basically gonna like
You're waiting.
I'm
Nice.
waiting. I'm chilling. There's no point in because is doesn't don't you get like do you get exponentially more or is it linear based on how long you
I
wait?
think it's linear. I think it just keeps going up based on the days.
Okay, so if you let's say if you get the same amount every day, like a payout for for every day more, and you're not getting more and more of it, you're just getting the same amount.
Yeah.
Then if the bids stay the same and the sells stay the same on the chart, it should just start to go on. It should just continue through this channel for sure. It could break
So
above the midline and start holding the midline as support, and then that's when you'd start to get confirmation of it's going to start to accelerate in price.
so what would make people sell it then? Just based on just what we know, just losing faith in the project.
Um, I don't know if they're like how much is being rewarded, like in U.S. dollar terms. Because if there's not enough U.S. like people probably aren't going to sell it for just a few $100. Maybe they will. I don't know. I'm talking about enough to move the chart. You know what I mean?
So you say that the free claim won't be enough for them to even want to sell it. They'll want to hold on to it longer and
Right.
wait.
It's like that sweet spot where those who wait are pumping their own bags. That makes sense.
That is I think they would appreciate that description actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I get the goal. It's a cool idea. I just wish that the like when people go and make coins from now on, just think about how you want to set up your liquidity a little better. That's my thing. It might be perfect for this one. I might be. It looks like to me on the chart right now that it's built a really chill base and it's slowly grinding up now. I think a lot of times people like myself gets impatient and wants to see Hedron like gains out of everything, right? And so if your crypto can't compete with that stuff, it's gonna have a hard time long term. But I get it, and I think it's cool. Just all these other coins seem gimmicky in comparison to the ones that are tied to the magnitude of the sun, which is the hex share rate. Everything else has just come secondary. It's like no, there was only one chance to make Hex, which is like basically Bitcoin 2.0. There was only really like one opportunity to do that, and and so far it hasn't gotten screwed up, and it's got a lot of momentum, so it could do it. You know, I mean, like when I say Bitcoin 2.0, I mean where it like you remember back in like as far as we can remember, everything, all the money flows had to go into Bitcoin to go into altcoins, and that only just changed with DeFi, which was launched by X, basically the whole movement. So it basically set the tone for the thing that could compete with Bitcoin on a store value level. And so this has been a good attempt, and so far it's working. And I think it's going to start to create an It's already created an ecosystem around it where everything tracks Hex. And the only thing that did that before was Bitcoin. So it's doing it ideologically, price action wise, like. And so if Bitcoin's tied to the mining economy, Hex is tied to the share rate, inflation rate, and restaking economy. Yeah, I know I kind of rambled there for a sec.
No, man. It's I just want to shout out to Resolute from the Coast, part of the Weight. Coast is the Weight Dev team. So thank you for showing up and listening to the conversation.
For sure, man. Thank you for your hard work and for getting out there and creating something. That's awesome. I appreciate it. Everybody should be creating things.
Yeah, if you're not
I
creating,
think the quality of and this is not to shit on any one project. The quality control team needs to be there. Like somebody needs to be there making sure that these tokens have really clear discretions at the beginning. That's basically like, is this token like a financial tool, or is this token a speculative instrument, or is this token a utility? Or that stuff should be better categorized. And it's an issue I've had with crypto for a long time. I don't think crypto really had been properly organized and made into like genres until recent history, and it's good now because now that next wave is going to be driven on tokenomics and utility and not speculation as much.
I know. Even now, when I see a new project come out and there's just not basic links to like, tell me what it is. Like, give me like 3 sentences to tell me simply what it is, and then like give me some sort of plan. Like, oh, we're gonna go on stream and talk about it, and now you got to go watch an hour and a half to figure out what. Just can you just write it on a piece of paper so we can reference it, and then we'll watch the stream and we'll learn more about it too and ask questions. But like, there's so many projects that come out. I'm like, what does this thing do? Like, how if I were to create a token, one of the first things I would do is get the paperwork right. Be like, that I want a good, people to have a good understanding of what it is, what it isn't, and all these things about it. But just so many projects, they just don't. I'm like, how do you expect people to get into this? That you just want them to come? I think it's almost, actually, it could be a marketing thing. Like you want people to come to the Telegram just to get them into the Telegram because they need to ask questions because you don't tell them enough. But to me, that's frustrating. But I think it's a fun
brand recognition. So all the marketing that's going on from everybody, from every angle, is just all of that content is seeping into the mass of collective unconscious of the population, and they might not know about it or recognize it, but enough times of seeing it, and eventually they're gonna feel comfortable with it because they've seen this thing subconsciously so many times that it's like creating self-reinforcing layer that they're like, oh, it's a product that's been around and time tested, even if they don't know what it is. It's just a brand recognition thing. So if this becomes a recognizable brand, and then the apps keep getting better, and then the layer one gets better, then there's not going to be really any thinking about it. It'll just be like a conversation between two people, and somebody downloads an app and direct fiat on ramp into whatever they want to get exposure. And then once all that friction's gone, and that could be done through one app, which there will be many, you're going to have quicker onboarding, faster price charts. It's going to be cool. It's just like the game is in progress right now, and both teams are beat up pretty bad right now. And
yeah,
who comes out of it stronger will be the thing that you want to keep your eye on.